Hello, my name is Joshua Street, and I am currently an accountancy major at the University of Illinois in Springfield. Today, I'd like to briefly share about my tax internship, which took place at Federated Funeral Directors of America. Federated administers financial consulting and accounting services, with taxes being a major part of that. Given that I applied during the tax season, a lot of my time spent at Federated was in preparing 1040s for individuals who were members. The major tasks which I performed included preparing various schedules, compliance and underlying research, investigating certain issues with the returns, and communicating indirectly with members. One of the more prominent schedules which I prepared entailed itemized deductions, contributions, taxes, medical expenses, the list goes on and on. My job was to determine which expenses could and couldn't be deducted. For instance, certain surgical procedures that the members had done could in fact not be deducted. Another key schedule involved gains and losses. Many members had stock investments that were managed by brokers. I would look through these brokerage statements and see what was the stock basis and calculate the gains and losses for tax purposes. Much of the technical part of preparing these returns became very monotonous. However, when I needed to do underlying research in order to ensure compliance, that made the job interesting. My first go-to resource for this was a quick reference handbook that we had in the office. This was an easy and efficient way to ensure I was applying federal and state rules to my returns. For instance, certain home closing expenses needed to be amortized or capitalized rather than expensed for the current period. So the handbook was useful in this. Whenever it could not provide enough detailed information, however, I would turn to IRS publications. Due to time constraints, I couldn't look through every detail of these publications. Sometimes I would go after work hours and make sure I understood how to treat certain items. For instance, a rare item such as depletion of lumber that a member needed done. The last two major tasks I performed included investigating and communication with members indirectly. For the investigation part, I would often email division managers and their assistants to find more information about certain items like installment sales. Was the member actually receiving the income that was on the schedules for the installment sales? Sometimes this could add up to thousands of dollars, changing the outcome of the taxes dramatically. Another way I figured out crucial information was through asking questions of members indirectly. My supervisor would actually call the members, but when I would go through the return, I would think of vital questions to ask them for material information. Most of these tasks made my job interesting, but they also presented many challenges. Keeping the returns straight was probably my least difficult challenge, but it was a challenge nonetheless. A lot of times I would have very big returns, invest a lot of time in them, and so when I would switch gears and go to another return, I would try to think, what information is important for this return, scrapping the information that I had thought about previously. Another challenge I faced was to ensure that I interpreted the regulations correctly. Although a lot of more experienced accountants looked and reviewed my returns, I would make sure that I was interpreting the regulations correctly for accuracy purposes. These challenges definitely did prompt me to succeed and learn crucial lessons for the future. Personal growth was one of my main successes throughout this internship. Going into it, I had a lot of anxiety thinking about the responsibility that was involved. This was people's important financial information. Once I stepped back, though, and looked, what resources did I have, my supervisor, my coworkers, the research tools available, eventually I, step by step gained confidence and gained independence in my work. A major lesson that I learned revolved around reflection on my experience. Through journaling, I could definitely see how my attitude affected my performance, and this was huge for me throughout my internship. Journaling also showed me what my learning style was. The most prominent was probably to have a concrete experience, going top to bottom through a problem, seeing how it works, the framework of it is the best way for me to learn, I have found. When gaining proper control of my attitude, I can see that I contributed to Federated a lot more. One of the ways I contributed was simply by creating smoother workflow. These returns were very large at times, and my supervisors, managers, they were working with different members and on bigger items. So the more accurate I was, the smoother things went. I was also able to generate effective communication within that related to my work and the different divisions. It was important that I relay not just any information, but useful information to these divisions that they sometimes were otherwise unaware of. All of these contributions are definitely great examples that I will apply for future careers. With all the challenges, successes, and lessons learned, I can say with great appreciation that this internship taught me most about myself and what I want in a career. It is crucial to me that I choose a career not based on financial benefits or comfort, but that I choose a career that entices me to learn new concepts every day, something that challenges me to grow, and something that will help me to create future opportunities. Again, my name is Joshua Street, and I thank you for your time today.